The G, the R, the E, the A, the S, the Y, he's greasy, word up. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. Is Diddy the Harvey Weinstein of hip-hop? That's the question I've got to ask after these allegations from his former girlfriend, Cassie.
Disturbing allegations against Sean Diddy Combs. He's accused of rape, sex trafficking, and abuse by his former girlfriend. CBS 2's Naveen Dhaliwal has the details tonight.
They were a power couple, music mogul Sean Combs, also known as P. Diddy or Puff Daddy, and R&B singer Cassie. Hand in hand on red carpets, together for more than a decade. But now Cassie, whose real name is Cassandra Ventura, is slapping Combs with a lawsuit alleging sex trafficking, sexual abuse, and violence. In court documents, Ventura says, during their relationship, she was often punched, beat, kicked, and stomped on by Combs, claiming he forced her to engage in sex acts with male sex workers and introduced her to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol and substance abuse. In a statement, Ventura says, after years in silence and darkness, I'm finally ready to tell my story and to speak up on behalf of myself and for the benefit of other women who face violence and abuse in their relationships. But Combs' attorney says Ventura demanded $30 million from Combs under a threat to write a tell-all book about the relationship and says, quote, Ms. Ventura now resorted to filing a lawsuit riddled with baseless and outrageous lies, aiming to tarnish Mr. Combs' reputation and seeking a payday. Ventura was signed to Bad Boy Entertainment, meeting Combs when she was 19. Now she claims those years were dark times. Criminal defense attorney Jason Goldman has defended some high-profile clients.
These claims, they took place in different cities. Apparently, there's a lot of different people involved. You know, let's see if the case is strong with those individuals.
Ventura's case is being brought under the Adult Survivors Act that allows sex abuse victims to file lawsuits after the statutes of limitations has expired. And now this law is expiring next week.
You'd expect some sort of level of outcry that someone can come in and say, you know what, she told me about this in 2012. That's going to help them a lot if they can present those types of witnesses to say, yes, she did tell me this.
In Hell's Kitchen, Naveen Dhaliwal, CBS 2 News.
Now, R&B singer Cassie, also known as Cassandra Ventura, alleges in her federal lawsuit that Sean P. Diddy Combs allegedly abused her over the course of their relationship from 2006 to 2018. And under this case, which is being filed under the Adult Survivors Act, which allows victims of sex crimes to be able to file civil lawsuits against their alleged perpetrators, even though the statute of limitations has run out, Cassandra Ventura is alleging that P. Diddy Combs allegedly abused her, sexually violated her, and forced her to take drugs and alcohol as she participated in sex acts with male prostitutes and participate in sex trafficking until their relationship ended in 2018. Now, Cassandra Ventura alleges this abuse started as soon as she signed with P. Diddy Combs' Bad Boy Entertainment as far back as 2006, and alleges the first incident was one where he allegedly forcibly tried to kiss her. And as they continued on with their relationship, Cassandra Ventura alleges that P. Diddy Combs participated in a series of abuse that turned into a cycle of abuse over the course of their relationship, and says that she had to endure so much abuse over the relationship and couldn't even speak about any of it due to her fear of P. Diddy Combs possibly participating in retribution against her. Now, according to P. Diddy Combs' response to these allegations, he denies the claims as being offensive and outrageous. And Diddy claims that the only reason why she's filing this lawsuit is because he refused to pay her $30 million in order to prevent her from writing a tell-all book. Now, I don't know who to believe as related to these allegations of sexual abuse, sex trafficking, and sex crimes against P. Diddy Combs. And when I listen to Cassie Ventura's allegations, they have a possible ring of truth, even though she's out here filing this federal civil lawsuit as related to this Adult Survivors Act, a law that I find to be quite questionable as related to its constitutionality. And I find it interesting that Cassie is filing this lawsuit just a week before the law expires, and that basically adds a little credibility to Diddy's claims that she is looking to get money out of him as related to this lawsuit, which has questionable constitutionality because according to our Constitution, a person is supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, and a person is supposed to get due process under the law, and this law basically circumvents a person's ability to get due process because they allow them to file a civil suit without ever having to try a case of a sex crime inside of a criminal court. And that's where I have an issue with Cassie's overall lawsuit, because this Adult Survivors Act is one that I believe is unconstitutional under federal law. However, I do believe that her allegations may possibly have some ring of truth. However, when I listen to those allegations as presented by the mainstream media, they seem to be ones that fit the entire narrative that the mainstream media has been presenting of heterosexual black men as related to being brutes of the month. Because what the mainstream media wants to do with heterosexual black men is go out here and find a popular black male celebrity and try to present him as the face of sexual predation. This is what was done with R. Kelly. This was done with Bill Cosby. This is what was done with many other heterosexual black men. And that's where I start to ask some really critical questions. Is the mainstream media trying to turn Sean P. Diddy Combs into the hip-hop version of Harvey Weinstein? Because these allegations basically make Sean P. Diddy Combs sound a lot like Harvey Weinstein. And when it comes to P. Diddy Combs as related to his operation of Bad Boy Entertainment, he basically is falling into that whole narrative because he wound up signing Cassie back in 2006, I believe, and according to one report, he wound up trying to allegedly forcibly kiss Cassie at 19 years old, and that's a red flag for me because this just shows that he wasn't looking to be professional and looked to blur boundaries at the workplace. And this is the kind of behavior that workplace simps participate in, and I talk about this in depth in my book, Stop Simping in the Workplace, and in that book I warn men not to crap where they eat or get involved with people at their job. And P. Diddy Combs possibly made the biggest mistake of his career, getting involved with Cassie, and as he got involved with Cassie and blurred the lines between his personal and professional relationships, this is where he wound up putting himself in this situation of he said, she said, and with the courts, they may possibly side with Cassie as related to these allegations due to his being a bad boy in Bad Boy Entertainment, and basically, according to many people out here, being P. Greasy Combs. Now, these allegations that Cassie is making as related to this whole history of abuse are quite troubling, and they fit a very troubling pattern I have seen with a lot of beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And from that alleged forcible kiss that Cassie alleges happened when she was 19, I'm seeing a pattern of behavior that fits with other alleged behavior that P. Diddy Combs has participated in as related to allegations of encounters with men that shows how his behavior had a history and pattern of escalating into sexual deviancy. Because when I listen to Cassie's allegations and listen to these other allegations of P. Diddy Combs having encounters with men, this fits a pattern that shows an escalation of deviant sexual behavior in allegedly as related to P. Diddy Combs. Now, according to Cassie, she alleges that P. Diddy Combs, as she was getting involved with him, beat her and abused her. And this is where I start to see how P. Diddy Combs' alleged behavior fits the pattern and profile of beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And it's clear to me that he was living a double life and having a smooth world where he was the rap media mogul on the outside and possibly being an abuser on the inside, and possibly having his relationship with Cassie where he was looking to participate in his deviant behaviors that he would have in a place I call the secret world. Now, with many beta males, many of these men are insecure about their natural masculinity and insecure about their natural sexuality, and because they don't feel comfortable about participating in their natural masculinity and natural sexuality openly, what they do is go to a place that I call the secret world to participate in the kind of sexual behaviors that they get gratification from. And possibly P. Diddy Combs was out here with Cassie and wasn't looking to make her his girlfriend. He basically was looking to possibly have her be the object that he participated in his sexual desire, his sexual pleasures with, and didn't see her as a person. No, he basically saw her as an object, and because he saw her as an object in his fantasies and his ways to get sexual gratification, this is where he participated in abusing Cassie and looked to abuse Cassie not to gain sexual pleasure and bond with a woman. No, what he wanted to do was get power in this relationship and be the one who was the dominant one as related to getting his sexual pleasure. Because oftentimes with beta males like this, they are extremely detached as related to the way they express themselves sexually, and because they are detached, they don't connect with a person, and they don't connect with a person because they don't see many of those women as human. Now, Diddy did have children with Kim Porter, and again, that could be the relationship he saw as the woman he wanted to have a family with, but this woman he was going to have as the woman to have his fantasies with and have his pleasure with. So his idea of pleasure was about power and control, and in these beta male relationships, they again become detached and they don't see the person as a person, and they see them as an object to get their pleasure from. And that could be why Diddy allegedly was out here, as Cassie claims, giving her drugs and alcohol in order to medicate her so that she could go out here and participate, possibly starting with the deviant acts early on, because a lot of these guys, they choose a young person because they want to get that power in the beginning, and then after they get their pleasure from their acts, they start to become desensitized because they no longer get pleasure from being with one person. No, they get pleasure from seeing this person having power over them, and as they look to get power over that person, they start escalating their behavior into sexual deviancy. And that's what Cassie claims as related to Diddy physically abusing her, and as he physically abused her, he then, to her allegations, had her participating in sex acts with male prostitutes and had this as part of what she calls voyeurism, because fits right in that pattern of beta male behavior where they look to escalate their deviancy and escalate their sexual deviancy so that they can get power over seeing a woman broken down and humiliated. Because the reason why a guy like this would want to see his girlfriend out here with male prostitutes is because he wants to humiliate that woman, because a man who truly loves his girlfriend would not want to see the woman who is a reflection of him presented in a way where other men are going into her body and men are going out here and having sex with her. No man of character would want to see his woman being broken down and humiliated like this, but a sexual deviant would derive pleasure from seeing his woman having sex with other men, and would derive that pleasure because for him it's all about having the power to control this woman and control who is entering in and out of her body. And that is a form of sexual abuse that was allegedly perpetrated on Cassandra Ventura, as she claims, by P. Diddy Combs. And this is the type of behavior that these kinds of males participate in and believe that they need to do this because, again, for them, sex is no longer about love. No, sex is about power, control, and humiliation, and stripping away the dignity of a person and taking away their humanity. And that's possibly what happened to Cassie over the course of her relationship with Diddy, as he escalated his behavior from having her with male prostitutes to her allegations of sex trafficking. And as Cassie started to see her power being taken away by Diddy, she possibly wanted to go out here and go to law enforcement, but feared that P. Diddy Combs had a lot of power to end her life due to rumors of him possibly making people disappear, or what happened to a man she confided in, allegedly in Kid Cudi. Now, Kid Cudi was a rapper who Cassie allegedly confided in, and once Diddy found out that she was sharing things with Kid Cudi, this basically upset him because it disrupted his smooth world and prevented him from having that world where people wouldn't know who he really is as related to the secret world. And in order to keep his secret world separate from his business world, this is where it was rumored that he had Kid Cudi's car blown up, and this possibly discouraged Cassie from looking to go to law enforcement with these allegations of this sexual abuse and sex crimes and sex trafficking, because she possibly feared for her life, and things got really bad between them to the point where she alleges that P. Diddy Combs allegedly came into her home and allegedly sexually violated her. And again, this fits right in line with that pattern and profile of deviant sexual behavior that beta males participate in, because beta males, once they have gone out here and seen that they can violate a woman's boundaries, like she alleges he did when he tried to forcibly kiss her, she felt like she had to have a relationship with him because she feared that he was a media mogul and she would be dropped, and then feared that she would possibly have to be with this man and do what he said if she wanted to maintain the lifestyle that she wanted as an entertainer. And as things went on, he basically violated her trust and violated her over the course of this alleged relationship. And as things escalated to this incident in 2018 with the alleged rape and sexual violation of Cassie, things came to a head, and eventually Cassie wound up breaking up with P. Diddy and then went out here and got married to a white man and had 2 children with that white man. And as I listened to the story of Cassie, who is now again married to a white man and has 2 children by a white man, and look at the behavior of Diddy as alleged to by some people as related to him having homosexual relationships with men, again, fitting that pattern of escalation of behavior where these beta males, once they stop being able to get gratification from seeing a woman being violated and broken down, they start looking to have relationships with men because they want to get more power. That's where I start to see how Diddy's alleged behavior fits within a pattern of behavior I have seen with many beta males that I have done videos on as related to the historical Men in Crisis series and the Man Crisis videos I have done over the last 4 to 5 years on this channel. And that's where I possibly say Cassie may have a ring of truth to her allegations as related to these alleged sex crimes, and possibly has a criminal case as related to these sex crimes, because the whole thing that has me thinking the whole thing is suspect is her filing the civil lawsuit as related to this survivor's law, which has questionable constitutionality, because that law basically is one where survivors are looking to get compensation first instead of looking to criminally prosecute these individuals first. Because if Diddy is an alleged predator like Cassie claims, then this man needs to be in prison where he can be away from women and men and won't be a predator who can prey on people, because this type of individual, as she alleges, is a possible sexual deviant, and this deviant behavior is the kind of behavior that escalates from looking to abuse and break down women to abusing to breaking down men to escalating into serial killing, because from my years of research on beta males, their behavior escalates further, and this is the type of individual who doesn't belong on the streets. And if these allegations are proven true and investigated by the Department of Justice, this could lead to the fall of one of rap's biggest moguls in P. Diddy Combs if a federal case is brought, and P. Diddy could possibly wind up in federal court for sex trafficking charges and possible sex crime charges, and possibly could wind up going from being a media mogul who was out here making his own champagne to having Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles toasting some milk over him as they spit roast him and trade him for Little Debbie snack cakes, ramen noodles, packets of Crystal Light tea, packets of Crystal Light lemonade, off-brand lemon cookies, off-brand ice oatmeal cookies, off-brand duplex cookies, tasty cake cakes, snack pack puddings, Taster's Choice coffee. I mean, Diddy could go from being the rap mogul as Diddy to being diddled by Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, and Big Dave, and Mr. Sprinkles spraying special sauce all over his face. I mean, this could be the most ignominious fate for P. Diddy Combs if these allegations are proven true, and he won't just have to pay millions to Cassie, he would have to be dealing with a DOJ investigation, and that would basically prove white supremacy's entire narratives about black men being brutes true. And this whole case is one that's troubling to me, because I have to wonder, again, is P. Diddy the Harvey Weinstein of hip-hop, and did he do this to Cassie? And if he did do this to Cassie, what does it say about him as related to his character? Now, there are some that say that Diddy did a lot of people dirty in the music business, and I know that the music business is a greasy one filled with shady characters, and this type of behavior goes beyond the shadiness of ripping people off for their masters and they're not giving them their royalties. No, this just shows a person who is escalating their behavior as related to getting power to deviant levels, and possibly is a clear and present danger to others, because if you can go out here and have a girlfriend out here being violated like this. This is the kind of sickness that I saw with the late Phil Spector, who basically was so caught up in his deviancy that he had Ronnie Spector terrified as related to her own safety, and escalated his behavior to the point where he was participating in sexual deviancy with firearms. And as Ronnie Spector participated in sexual deviancy with a firearm, he wound up murdering a woman by shooting her in the head. And if this is where Diddy is going, again, it is quite troubling, because it shows me the man who was a music mogul is a man in crisis. And oftentimes when it comes to guys like this, once they get their money, sometimes these men go mad, and they go mad and start escalating their behavior into sexual deviancy, and they escalate their behavior because they want to get power. And when I look at the pattern of alleged behavior that Cassie alleges, it really is troubling, because the timeline fits that pattern and profile of behavior that I've seen from many of the serial killers I talk about on my historical men in crisis videos and my man crisis videos. And it would be troubling to hear that we have P. Diddy following in the footsteps of sexual deviant R. Kelly, in showing that money brings out a monster in some of these men, and possibly leads to these men winding up going from music mogul men to becoming mogul men in crisis. Now, if you want to learn more about what leads to the dysfunctional behavior that beta males participate in to put them on a road to this type of alleged disturbing behavior, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. And if you want to learn why you shouldn't get involved with women at your job, even if you own the company, like P. Diddy Combs did with Bad Boy Entertainment, you can pick up my book, Stop Simping in the Workplace, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And you can also find Stop Simping in the Workplace at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. And if you want to see me make more videos about entertainers in the entertainment industry, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-reader from the author of Spinsterella, A Strange and Unusual Romance, and Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black comes legendary magazine. And you get the conclusion of the Spinsterella trilogy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella. Discover the dark side of love in this goth and lovely romance with Spinsterella. Get Spinsterella in paperback and e-readers at your favorite online bookseller today.
Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.